What's going on, everyone? My name's Eric, and today on the channel we're going to be going over the topic of just starting guitar in general. Now, a little while ago I threw a poll on my Instagram story just asking what is the better kind of guitar to learn on, whether it's electric or it's an acoustic guitar. There was a good amount of people that participated in that short little survey, and basically the majority of you said electric guitar is the preferred method to learn on. But there was a lot of people who also said acoustic is the better way to learn on, and you actually gave a lot of good ideas of why acoustic guitars are better to learn on than electric. But there's a few points that really stood out to me of why I think electric guitar is the better way to actually learn as a young guitar player or as a new guitar player, regardless of your age. And that's because electric guitars are much easier to live with, and you could kind of set them up and get them going. And a lot of acoustic guitars, especially of that really budget, like cheap beginner acoustic guitar level, like maybe the $100, $200 at the very most, those guitars are generally not so good. Another thing with acoustic guitars is that they come strung from the factory with around 12 to 13 gauge strings, and if you are an early guitar player, that is a big hurdle to kind of get over, especially to want to stay inspired and want to play the guitar more, especially when your finger strength is not really there of a developed guitar player's finger strength abilities. And when you think about that, that might be someone's frame of reference, that heavy strings with high action on an acoustic guitar, and that's just maybe how all guitars come from the factory for that particular guitar player's frame of mind. Now, obviously, if you've been playing guitar for quite a while, you know that you can set up an acoustic guitar as well. But for the very young and the early and the beginner guitar player, they might not know that. But what I want to get across is that even if your first guitar is an acoustic guitar, or maybe your only guitar is an acoustic guitar, you can still set it up and you can still use it as a great tool to actually learn guitar on. And within this video, you're going to learn a few tips and tricks on how to make your acoustic guitar play way better and to keep you inspired for playing guitar. I'm not trying to discourage people from buying acoustic guitars or only buying electric guitars, because in today's video, we're going to actually set up an acoustic guitar that's going to be going to someone who's actually learning how to be playing guitar. And I want to make this guitar as easy to play for them as it's going to be, just so they're going to be inspired for many more years to come, and they're going to actually want to continue to pick up this instrument, and it's not going to feel like a chore when they play it, especially since they are a beginner player. So let's throw this acoustic guitar on the bench and let's get this guitar playing great for this brand new guitar player. Alright, now here is the guitar on the workbench here. As always, Music Nomad mat just to keep the guitar from sliding around. Link in the description if you want to grab one to upgrade your current working situation. The guitar that we have here is this Yamaha Acoustic. I'm not too sure of the series or anything like that, so I'm going to show a couple close-ups of the action, and as you can see, the string height on the guitar is pretty high, and it seems like since this guitar was set up from factory, it probably hasn't changed that setup from the factory too much. The nut height is pretty good on this, but what we're going to do is actually take down the action on the bridge here. We're going to set the strings a little bit lower, and that's going to make this guitar much easier to play, as well as changing these strings from around these 12 or these 13 gauges to something that is a little bit lighter and easier to play, and again, something that is going to inspire this person to want to pick up their acoustic guitar and play it more often. Alright, so the first thing that you want to do is simply loosen or just take off the strings entirely, and then what you want to do is actually remove the saddle from the guitar. If this is stuck in the actual bridge here, what you want to do is actually get like maybe some pliers, and then just lightly grab it and pull it out in case this saddle piece is stuck in the bridge here. Otherwise, it should come out pretty easily on its own. Once you take the acoustic bridge saddle out of the bridge here, you really want to make sure that you are placing the bridge saddle back in the exact way that it is. And if you have to mark this to give you a reference point to which way this is supposed to go, what you can do is actually just use a pencil, then just write maybe a capital E for the low E side, or you can write low E. Then you can write high E on this side here, just so you're not putting the bridge saddle in backwards. Alright, so now I have just a general file here. Might be a little hard to see, but this side on the file is actually rounded, and this side is flat. I would prefer to have both sides flat, but I'm not sure where my file that has both flat sides is, so I'm going to be using this one for the meantime. So then what I'm going to do is actually take this bridge saddle and put it right on the file. I'm going to use all of my fingers and just kind of hold it down there, because I'm then going to be going back and forth on the file like so, and I really want to make sure I am filing all parts of the bottom here as equally as I can, just so there are no high spots, and I'm filing this down as evenly as I can. If you don't have a file, or maybe you are short for time, you can use just a general hand sander. I'm going to show a picture of that on screen. You're then going to run that hand sander upside down, and then what you're going to do is actually just put that saddle onto the sanding paper, and then you're just going to kind of hold it there and get it to that desired height that you need it to. The one thing to keep in mind is that the hand sander is going to be going really fast, and you can't really add add any more height to the nut, at least with the existing material. So be careful that you're not taking off too much material, but there are solutions in case you go a little bit too far. So keep that in mind as you're doing this, but otherwise this is a pretty easy task and you don't really need a lot of tools to really get going with this to make your acoustic guitar way better playing than it probably already is. All right, now just to give you an idea of where the action is currently sitting after a little bit of sanding, and I just want to emphasize a little bit of sanding and filing, that's sitting at a much nicer height. And I'm sure once we put those lighter strings on, that's going to make learning on the acoustic guitar much easier. Now, if you are in this situation and the action is not where you need it, what you need to do is just simply keep resanding and refiling that saddle until you get the action to where you need it to be. Now, something I like to do when I'm working on acoustic guitars and these bridge pins are stubborn and won't come out of the bridge here, I'm going to simply use the back end of this wrench here. I'm going to put the rubber side right under these actual bridge pins here and simply just kind of push up on them just to pop them out. Even though these are super cheap to replace, what you want to do is just not, break them at the end of the day. So go light and use a little bit of like a rubber wrench or a mallet and just kind of lightly push on it, and these bridge pins will pop right out. So here we are with the new strings on the guitar. This is a 10 to 50 set in standard tuning. The action is a little bit lower. It's feeling pretty good. I actually might just take it down just a bit more, just so chording around that 5th and 7th fret, even a little bit higher up towards the 12th fret, is just a little bit easier. It feels really good right around the nut here, but the next little bit of the guitar could be done a little bit better. So I will go do that. If you file that saddle down too much and the strings are actually way too low, what you can do is clip one of the excess pieces of string off of the guitar here. I would either take the G or the D string, throw them under the saddle just to raise the saddle and raise the action a little bit more in case you are fretting out higher up on the fingerboard. All right, now the guitar is all done. We get the action dialed in as low as it could probably go for the most part on an acoustic guitar. We got the frets all cleaned up. The fretboard has been hydrated, tightened up everything, cleaned it up, and really just brought this thing back to life, including really, taking that action down and filing down that bridge saddle. And in my opinion, this is what you gotta do to an acoustic guitar to make it feel much better than it probably already is from the factory. And regardless of where you are on your guitar journey, if you are just buying an acoustic guitar, this is always something that I recommend doing if you want to enjoy just playing this guitar or just wanting to just continue learning on this instrument. Because if this is your first reference point of how a guitar should feel and sound, especially when you are playing it, like, you might be pretty discouraged, especially if the action is pretty jacked up on this guitar and you're not too sure of how to adjust it, because you might be thinking this is just the way it is and maybe these guitars are not adjustable. And once again, I just don't want people thinking that, acoustic guitars are bad or anything like that. Like, they come from the factory like the way that they are, but they just do need setups and they do need the action brought down, in my humble opinion, if you want to actually continue learning on acoustic guitars, or if you want to stay inspired if you are learning on an acoustic guitar. But with all that being said, like, there's no real right or wrong. Like, if you are starting on an electric guitar, which is, what I started on, that's kind of my preferred choice for starting on electric guitar, and my own recommendation for parents if they're trying to get their kids guitars, or for people who are just trying to start on the guitar. I always recommend an electric guitar just because it is so much easier to dial in terms of setup and wanting you to feel a little bit more inspired while playing the guitar. And not to mention, they just come with lighter strings too, which is a little bit easier on the fingers by comparison to these acoustic guitars. But if an acoustic guitar is the route that you have gone down, make sure you just follow the steps in this video. Lighter strings, take the action down at the bridge down here, and if the truss rod is out, check that as well. I got tons of videos on my channel that will go over all your basic setup requirements and things like that. So do all those things, and I'm pretty sure you're gonna have your acoustic guitar playing and sounding really awesome, and honestly just inspiring you to continue playing your guitar at the end of the day. And before we get going here, I just want to mention that I am using a bunch of Music Nomad products. I would like to thank Jeremy from Music Nomad, who sent over a bunch of products for me to check out and just make some videos with, and just get my overall thoughts and opinions, and obviously pass them on to you. So in today's video, we are obviously using Tune It here. In case you didn't know what that is, this is kind of like a bit of like a paste that you put into the nut and onto the bridge saddles, or just the overall bridge saddle on your acoustic guitar, your electric guitar, or your electric bass, acoustic bass, whatever it is. It's going to help your guitar stay in tune, since it will reduce the amount of friction and actually smooth out those rough surfaces that might be in those bridge saddles or in your actual nut slot of your guitar or your bass. I've been using this for quite a while on all of my personal guitars, and especially for a lot of those Dingwall basses as well, especially tuned all the way down to say like drop E or something crazy. You got a 170 gauge bass string on it, and this is helping those guitars stay in tune. And yeah, I like it. I really recommend it. I'm going to have a link down in this description below if you want to go check this out and learn more about it. Same thing with the fingerboards. I've been using this F1 oil. This is going to be hydrating your rosewood, your ebony, and any sort of that open pore fretboard wood, and just bringing that fretboard wood back to life, especially in those dry conditions, which you really do need when the weather gets pretty dry. I like this. I've been using this for quite some time, and they sent me a giant bottle of this, which I will link to down below, and there's also a tinier bottle as well that I'll link down to below as well. Everything is going to be linked to an Amazon affiliate link, and what that means is that every time you purchase one of these products, like I'm showing on screen right now, or any of the products that are linked below using that Amazon affiliate link, I do receive some sort of financial compensation from Amazon through their affiliate program partnership. But to be totally transparent, everything that I earned from those Amazon affiliate links goes right back into the channel, just, you know, to help grow this channel. So if you are going to be getting those day-to-day guitar products or some general tools just to help you work on your own guitars, click that Amazon affiliate link, and then you will be helping me keep the lights on here and actually bringing you guys new and more interesting content. And that's going to do it for today's video. So let me know in the comments below if you've learned something new, or if you are either Team Acoustic or Team Electric for learning guitar. And if this is your first time checking out one of my videos, please consider subscribing. I have tons more guitar-related content like this on the channel. And if you are a returning subscriber, make sure you hit that notification bell so you don't miss a single video that I upload. All the applicable links are down below if you want to get the tools that I used in today's video as well. Thanks for checking this out, and I'll see you next time.